Every woman under the sound of my voice, I want you to hear this as if heaven itself is speaking to you. Because one decision in your heart can either secure your destiny or sabotage it. The reason this message is too serious is because life will not wait for you to wake up to your own worth. If you don't guard your heart with wisdom, you will bleed your strength into places and people who were never qualified to carry it. This is not entertainment. This is life and death for your future. You were not designed to be held hostage by emotions. Emotions are powerful servants, but they are dangerous masters. A woman who allows anger, fear, or desperation to govern her choices will always find herself building houses on sand. But a woman who governs her spirit, who rules over her own reactions, becomes unshakable. The storms may come, but she will not move. There is a strength in you that does not need validation. When you know your value, you no longer negotiate it. You no longer beg for recognition. You no longer sit at tables where your presence is tolerated but not celebrated. Your very silence becomes your weapon, because silence says, I refuse to give my energy to what cannot sustain me. Hear me carefully. There will be moments where everything in you wants to fight back, to prove a point, to hold on to what is crumbling. But wisdom whispers, let it go. Why? Because destiny does not compete with distraction. Every time you release what dishonors your future, heaven prepares a door that no man can shut. A strong woman is not the one who can shout the loudest, but the one who can walk away quietly and still keep her peace. It takes power to stand your ground. It takes greater power to know when ground is no longer worth standing on. Is the secret of spiritual authority, choosing where you invest your spirit. Your energy is sacred. Your heart is sacred. Your purpose is sacred. Do not waste it on people who drain you, on arguments that belittle you, on circumstances that insult your destiny. Every seed of your time, your words, your love must be planted in soil that can multiply it. Anything else is robbery of your future. So I tell you again, woman, don't play with this message. It is too serious. The world will test you. People will test you. Life will test you. The greatest evidence of your strength is the ability to rise above the noise and remain unshaken, unbothered, and unmovable. That is the mark of a woman who truly knows who she is. A woman who knows her value does not tie her identity to people, places, or opinions. She understands that her worth was established long before anyone had the power to applaud or reject her. When a woman lives from this revelation, she refuses to let the shifting tides of other people's perceptions determine her confidence. If someone praises her, she remains steady. If someone criticizes her, she remains steady. Her identity is rooted in something far deeper than human validation. This kind of woman is dangerous to the systems of control that depend on insecurity, because she cannot be manipulated through approval or rejection. When you understand your value, you stop giving discounts to people who cannot afford your presence. You no longer seek recognition in places where your purpose is ignored. You recognize that your essence carries a unique assignment that no crowd can define and no relationship can erase. This awareness empowers you to step into rooms with quiet confidence, not to prove who you are, but to simply be who you are. Your value is not attached to the applause of the crowd or the acceptance of a circle. It is established by the one who designed you with intention. There is a subtle power that flows from this kind of self-awareness. You don't have to argue for your worth. Your presence declares it. You don't have to chase affirmation. Your confidence attracts respect. When a woman internalizes her value, she no longer fears being alone, because she understands that solitude never diminishes her significance. Instead, it amplifies it. She can stand without leaning, give without losing, love without becoming enslaved. Her identity is untouchable because it is not tied to fragile human opinion, but to unshakable divine truth. The ability to walk away from what diminishes your worth is proof of strength. Many people confuse endurance with wisdom, staying in environments that constantly strip them of dignity, hoping one day things will change. But a woman who understands her value knows that every moment spent in a place that dishonors her spirit is a moment stolen from her future. Walking away is not weakness. It is evidence that she refuses to invest her life where it will not yield fruit. It takes courage to say, deserve more than this, and it takes faith to believe that stepping out will open the door to greater. When you remain in situations that drain you, you silently teach others how to treat you. But when you rise and walk away, you set a new standard, not only for yourself, but for everyone watching. Your actions declare that your spirit is not up for negotiation. That decision carries power because it is not just about leaving a place or a person. It is about protecting your future, preserving your peace, and honoring the divine purpose within you. Walking away requires clarity. It means you are no longer blinded by temporary comfort or false security. You recognize that staying tied to what belittles you will only delay your destiny. And so, even though it hurts, even though the familiar feels safe, gather your strength, lift your head, and move forward. This is the mark of maturity, choosing what aligns with your worth rather than what entertains your emotions. A woman who can walk away with her dignity intact demonstrates to the world that she belongs to a higher standard, and nothing that diminishes her can hold her captive. Emotional control is not weakness. It is the highest expression of maturity. Many believe that reacting quickly, speaking loudly, or expressing every feeling is a sign of strength, but in truth, often reveals the absence of discipline. A woman who governs her emotions demonstrates mastery over herself, and that mastery is greater than ruling a nation. True authority begins with self-control, because if you cannot rule your spirit, you will always be ruled by circumstances. When emotions drive decisions, regret often follows. Anger can destroy relationships. Fear can paralyze progress. Insecurity can invite manipulation. But when a woman learns to pause, to breathe, and to respond with wisdom instead of impulse, she positions herself above the chaos. People may try to provoke her. Situations may attempt to shake her, but her composure becomes her shield. Ability to remain calm in the midst of storms sends a clear message. Her peace is not for sale, and her destiny is not subject to emotional highs and lows. This level of maturity does not mean suppressing feelings or pretending to be unaffected. It means acknowledging emotions without surrendering authority to them. It means understanding that feelings are indicators, not dictators. They can inform you, but they must never control you. When you can feel deeply yet choose wisely, you are walking in true power. A woman of emotional control creates an atmosphere wherever she goes. Her presence carries stability, her words carry weight, and her silence carries authority. People may not always remember what she says, but they will remember how they felt in her presence. Safe, steady, and inspired. That is the kind of strength that leaves a legacy because it reflects mastery not over others, but over oneself. Silence in the face of provocation speaks louder than words. When someone insults you, mocks you, or tries to diminish your worth, the natural instinct is to defend yourself, to prove your strength, or to retaliate. But true wisdom understands that not every battle deserves your energy. Silence is not surrender. It is strategy. It is the art of refusing to dignify nonsense with a response. A woman who can stand still while storms of accusation swirl around her reveals a strength that words can never display. Her silence says, I know who I am, and nothing you say can reduce me. There is a sacred power in withholding speech. Words, once released, cannot be retrieved. Arguments often escalate into cycles that rob peace and dignity. By choosing silence, you disarm the aggressor because the expectation was for you to engage. Instead, you rise above the noise, and your restraint becomes your shield. Even scripture teaches that a soft tongue can break bones, but sometimes silence is softer than any reply. It leaves the other person wrestling with their own words while you preserve your peace. Silence is also a sign of security. When you know your worth, you don't feel compelled to explain or defend it. Just as a lion does not need to roar to prove it is king of the jungle, a woman of wisdom does not need to shout to prove her strength. She embodies it by her very composure. In moments where emotions run high, silence becomes the loudest voice in the room, declaring stability, confidence, and unshakable identity. And while others waste energy in noise, She invests her energy in guarding her spirit and preparing for her future. That is the wisdom of silence. A woman of purpose invests energy only where her destiny is honored. She understands that her time, her love, and her presence are not common, and therefore they cannot be wasted on environments that belittle her calling. Every decision she makes flows from a deep awareness that her life has a divine assignment. This means she is intentional about where she goes, who she allows close, and what she gives her attention to. When you know your life carries weight, stop scattering your energy on places that cannot multiply it. Investing energy where destiny is honored requires discernment. Not every opportunity is worthy, not every relationship is necessary, and not every invitation is aligned with purpose. A woman of wisdom learns to distinguish between distraction and destiny. She recognizes that some connections may look attractive, but are designed to drain her, while others may appear small, but hold the keys to her future. By carefully choosing where she pours her strength, she ensures that nothing of her is wasted. This principle also demands boundaries. A woman who honors her destiny does not apologize for saying no. She is not afraid to walk away from environments that demand her presence but refuse to respect her value. She knows that every yes to the wrong thing is a no to the right one. Her strength is not in being everywhere, but in being exactly where she is meant to be. By investing only in places where destiny is honored, she creates an atmosphere where growth is possible, peace is sustained, and purpose can thrive. She does not allow guilt or pressure to pull her into circles that do not recognize her worth. Instead, she gives her energy as a seed, planting it only where it will yield eternal fruit. Letting go of what does not align with your future is not loss, but divine redirection. Many hold on to relationships, habits, or environments because of fear of being alone, fear of starting over, or fear of uncertainty. But a woman of wisdom recognizes that clinging to what is dying only delays what is being born. She understands that release is not always a sign of weakness. Often it is heaven's way of clearing her path for something greater. What feels like subtraction is actually preparation for multiplication. Letting go requires trust. It means believing that your life is guided by a higher hand and that the same God who authored your beginning has already secured your end. When you release what no longer serves your destiny, you are not stepping into emptiness, you are stepping into alignment. The door you close in obedience makes room for the door that was designed for you all along. The pain of release is temporary, the reward of obedience is eternal. This principle also protects identity. When you refuse to let go of what is toxic or unworthy, slowly begin to shrink yourself to fit into spaces you were never meant to occupy. But when you courageously release, you reclaim your voice, your dignity, and your freedom. A woman who can walk away from what does not honor her future proves that she is governed by vision, not by fear. Every release is a declaration of trust that your future is worth more than your comfort. It says that you value your destiny too much to stay tied to what drains you. And though the process may feel like loss, in reality, it is the redirection that positions you exactly where you belong. True freedom is the power to govern your spirit, regardless of external conditions. Many people believe freedom is about circumstances, having wealth, status, or control over others. But real freedom begins within. A woman who has mastered her spirit is untouchable because no matter what storms rage around her, she remains steady inside. She can face betrayal without bitterness, pressure without panic, and delay without despair. This inner authority is greater than any external advantage because it cannot be taken away by loss, rejection, or opposition. Governing your spirit means you choose your response instead of being driven by impulse. It is the discipline of not allowing anger to dictate your words, fear to shape your decisions, or insecurity to control your choices. It is the wisdom of understanding that peace is not found in the absence of trouble, but in the presence of control over yourself. When you have this kind of freedom, no one can enslave you with their approval or break you with their rejection, because your spirit is anchored in truth, in circumstances. This kind of freedom also creates influence. People are drawn to stability, and when they see someone who cannot be easily shaken, they instinctively recognize strength. A woman who governs her spirit does not need to demand respect. Her composure commands it. She becomes a source of calm in chaotic environments, a voice of wisdom in noisy situations, and a light of stability in uncertain times. Such freedom is the highest level of power because it is not dependent on what happens around you, but on what you choose within you. To govern your spirit is to declare that nothing outside of you has the authority to control the destiny within you. Woman, hear me clearly. Your greatest battle is not against people, circumstances, or even the storms of life. It is against the temptation to forget who you are. The world will try to pull you into chaos, demand your energy, provoke your emotions, and make you believe your worth is negotiable. But the truth is this: you were created to stand above it all. Your silence, your strength, your ability to release what does not belong, and your power to govern your spirit are the marks of a woman who cannot be broken. Never allow yourself to be reduced by the smallness of others. You are not here to survive. You are here to reign in wisdom, to walk in dignity, and to protect the treasure of your destiny. So stand firm, guard your heart, and remember, when you master yourself, nothing in this world can master you.